King Shumeewamee and the Volcano of Mad by Yaged. Episode 4. "Wow, that's so cool," Russ said. "You own this place? You must be rich." King Shumeewamee held up a long, thin finger and waved it from side to side. "Oh, no," he said. "I don't own Shumeewa. The people of Shumeewa own Shumeewa." "Then you're not rich?" Russ was disappointed. "Rich?" King Shumeewamee asked. "I am richer than rich. I know you and Lester and all the people of Shumeewa. I wake up each morning to a purplish sky, an orangey sun, and smiling clouds. I'm a really, really, really lucky guy." "How much richer than that could you hope to be?" Lester asked Russ. "Not much," Russ stammered, afraid to disagree. "Wonderful!" the king exclaimed. "Shall we eat?"
"I'll say." Lester stroked his belly fin. "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse."
After all he'd seen already that day, Russ wasn't sure if Lester was kidding or not. "Can he really eat a horse?" Russ whispered to King Shumeewamee.
"I don't know. Let's see."
King Shumeewamee lifted his hand, ready to snap his fingers. "Oh, no, don't do that!" Russ protested.
"Why not?"
the king asked, his hand still in the air. "I don't want to see Lester eat a horse," Russ explained. He really liked horses, and the thought of Lester eating one made Russ a little sick to his stomach.
"How can we believe Lester can eat a horse if we don't see it with our own 2 eyes?"
King Shumeewamee asked. "I guess sometimes you just have to take someone's word for it," Russ suggested.
"Take someone's word for it?"
King Shumeewamee repeated. Russ nodded, but King Shumeewamee just stood there as if waiting for him to fill in the blank. "Don't you know what take someone's word for it means?" Russ asked. King Shumeewamee shook his head innocently, his long wavy hair swishing from side to side. "It means you trust them," Russ explained.
"Aha!"
King Shumeewamee exclaimed. Russ wanted to share in King Shumeewamee's excitement, but he couldn't take his eyes off King Shumeewamee's hand, which still hung mid-air, ready to snap at a moment's notice.
"Taking someone's word for it sounds a lot like when your mom trusts you to listen to her," King Shumeewamee continued.
"I guess," Russ said.
"So then,"
King Shumeewamee paced back and forth in front of Russ like one of those guys in a business suit you see on those cop shows on TV.
"When your mother tells you not to throw pillows in the house because you might break something, you probably don't need to try throwing pillows in the house in order to find out if you'll actually break something."
"Probably," Russ hesitated, but he knew he had to agree. King Shumeewamee wasn't totally convinced.
"So," he asked Russ, "in the future, you won't find it necessary to conduct any experiments when your mother makes a suggestion, right?"
"Right," Russ mumbled quietly.
"Wonderful!" the king exclaimed a second time. "Now that that's settled, it's time for us to eat." King Shumeewamee turned to Lester. "What'll it be?"
Russ braced himself, still not entirely sure of what would come out of Lester's mouth.
"Oh, you know me," Lester said. "I'll eat anything." "All right, then," the king agreed. "Anything it shall be."
With that, he snapped the snap that had been suspended midair for so long, and wouldn't you know, right in front of Lester appeared the biggest worm you've ever seen.
Lester swallowed it in one bite, lickety-split. "Well, it's time for me to go," he said. "A megalopterus wouldn't want to get too well done."
Then Lester took off into the air, completing a triple somersault before splashing back into the stream. "But I thought Lester was a megalamphus," Russ puzzled.
"Lester has a bit of an identity crisis,"
King Shumeewamee said with a wave of his hand, and turned to Russ.
"So, what'll it be?"
"Huh? Russ grew nervous. To eat, King Shumeewamee insisted. I think I lost my appetite, Russ said. Suit yourself, King Shumeewamee said, and with a snap of his fingers, the finest spread of junk food you've ever seen appeared before him. There was ice cream and candy bars, hamburgers and pizza, vanilla fluff chewy candies, and Shumeewa surprises. Russ was feeling a little bit like maybe he shouldn't have been so quick to say he wasn't hungry. But just as that thought entered his head, King Shumeewamee filled his mouth with a scoop of the sweetest, most wonderful taste he had ever had. King Shumeewamee mumbled. What was that? Russ asked, wiping the vanilla fluff hanging from the corner of his mouth on his shirt. King Shumeewamee repeated. I still can't understand a word you're saying, Russ said before biting into a caramel apple. King Shumeewamee pulled a wad of taffy out of his teeth. That's because I'm talking with my mouth full. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, Russ said before stuffing his face with a handful of monster marshmallows. What were you saying? He continued. What was that? King Shumeewamee asked. What were you saying? Russ repeated. I can't understand you, King Shumeewamee said. Russ's throat expanded 3 monster marshmallows wide. A loud whoop could be heard echoing through his insides. Then Russ sighed. Oh, what were you saying? King Shumeewamee sighed too. Isn't this the most wonderful taste you've ever had? I'll say. Russ lay back in the thick green grass. I wish I could be a king. King Shumeewamee lay down beside him, ready to doze off to sleep. Me too. But you are a king, Russ said. Oh, that's right, King Shumeewamee said as his eyelids fell farther and farther. Just as they were about to close completely, King Shumeewamee sprang into the air. I'm the king! He exclaimed. You know what that means? He turned to Russ. Russ, whose mouth was now filled with crunchy scrumpy, shook his head from side to side nervously. The king seemed really upset. Russ was worried it was something he'd done. Before he had time to ask, King Shumeewamee said, We have to get to the castle! With that, he snapped his fingers, and all the wonderful eatable junk, fluff, chewy surprises, and crunchies surrounding them, packed itself up into convenient containers and jumped into a brown paper bag, one after the other. The brown paper bag floated in the air next to Russ. Can you handle that? King Shumeewamee asked. Sure, Russ said. He reached for the handle of the bag, and the bag pulled away. Russ reached for the bag again, and again it pulled away. Finally, the bag piped up.
Look, I can handle it myself.
King Shumeewamee turned to Russ and the bag. Are we all set?
Sure,
the bag chimed in, Russ looking on in astonishment. Excellent, the king said, and with that he snapped his fingers once more.